Chapter. A moment in silence, inviting God and Gurus to enter our hearts and take charge of our lives, banishing the delusions that we have all built from multiple incarnations. May the darkness of Maya be banished with the light of wisdom that our Gurus bring. Om Shanti. So, okay, this first two paragraphs I will start. Then, if others can pitch in with reading. So we ended on page number 485, where he talks about, there are few who are ekantins, which are single-hearted saints who only have God in their hearts. And for the rest of us, he says that who are still not ekantins, what works is Kriya Yoga techniques, daily observance of moral precepts, the yamas and niyamas, and the ability to constantly say, cry, he says, cry sincerely, Lord, I yearn to know thee. So, and then he goes on to explain what is samsara. It's a flowing with, it means flowing with, which induces man to take line of least resistance. So, Maya makes us complacent, not put out that energy to try to get away from this. As Krishna said to Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, get away from my ocean of suffering. Be thou a yogi." But being a yogi requires a lot of energy. We have to put out a lot of energy to finally cross that that line that separates us. So, but Maya tends to makes us complacent, take the easy way out and continue living this way. And the point is, as I was listening to Asha Naya Swami in one of her talks, she said, the problem with Maya is it always seems to work. Almost seems to work. So, when something doesn't happen, we always say, if I had not done this and I had done that, then things would have been better. I would have been happier. So we then try to do that. So we come back again and again, different incarnations, trying to, if not this, just that, probably I would have been happier. So it almost seems to work. And that's where we don't put out that energy to get out of it, rather than, just saying, oh, if only, if this, if that. So now we come to page number 486. The paragraph starts with the mystery of life and death, whose solution, okay, we are reading today because this chapter Swamiji has not read out. He ended with the the last chapter, the 48th chapter, which was the original autobiography of a yogi. This was added by his master later. The mystery of life and death, whose solution is the only purpose of man's sojourn on earth, is intimately interwoven with breath. Breathlessness is deathlessness. Realizing this truth, the ancient rishis of India seized on the sole clue of the breath and developed a precise and rational science of breathlessness. Had India no other gift for the world, Kriya Yoga alone would suffice as the kingly offering. The Bible contains passages that reveal that the Hebrew prophets were well aware that God has made the breath to serve as a subtle link between body and soul. Genesis states, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. The body of man is composed of chemical and metallic substances that are also found in the dust of the ground. That inert flesh, any more than dust or stones, could never carry on activity or manifest energy and motion were it not for the currents transmitted by soul to body through the instrumentality in unenlightened man of the breath, the gaseous energy. The life currents manifesting in the human body as the 5 prana or subtle life energies are an expression of the Om vibration of the omnipresent soul. And then he goes on to say in the Bhagavad Gita, steadfast, a lamp burns, sheltered from the wind, such is the likeness of the yogi's mind. Shut from sense storms and burning bright in heaven, when mind broods placid, soothed with holy wand, when self contemplates self and in itself hath comfort, when it knows the namely joy, beyond all scope of sense, revealed to soul, only to soul, and knowing wavers not, true to the farther truth. When holding this, it deems no other treasure comparable, but harbored there cannot be stirred or shook by any gravest grief. Call that state peace, that happy severance yoga, call that man the perfect yogin. So here we are. You don't have in that book? It's good to get this book. This is, as Swamiji says, the original one. Later on, a lot of editions, and in those ones that there are a lot of editing that has happened. So go for this. Okay, so Master has time and again talked about the breath, where he says that, as last time also we had discussed, that the spirit is this vibrationless ocean. And then the storm of Maya creates waves. Because of the storm, it creates waves, and each wave has its own something. One wave will be very high, other one will be very small, but each one is different. It looks different, right? Ultimately, the essence is the ocean. What are they made up of? The ocean. But each wave seemingly looks different. It's like that. Each one of us, the Maya, storm of Maya, has created. That is why Maya is also in Indian scriptures called the measurer. It's like, this, if there is this, the spirit is there, and it's like, you put a sieve on top of it. If there is a sieve and you look through sieve, then there are different points you see. That is why there is a distance, because that point is so different, separate from this. That is where the distance, the time, everything comes. That's why Maya is called measurer, right? So Maya creates these waves, these individual waves. Once Swamiji was, with Master, and he was thinking something, Master is, I'm so glad, and, I'm feeling grateful that I'm with such huge, stellar, my guru. And Master came close to Swamiji and said, just a bulge in the ocean. Which means the larger the waves, the more, the crash will be even worse. So it is like the larger the wave, it means that, that personality, the ego has taken, that kind of, I'm so huge, and the crash will be huge. And whereas Master says, I'm just a bulge in the ocean. That's all. No ego. This is just that ego that is necessary to keep this body going. Otherwise, there's nothing. It's more completely sattvic, right? The more tamasic, the more is the wave is bigger. So, and how is it created? How is the soul? And Master said, what is ego? Ego is soul attached or identified with the body. When the soul starts thinking, this is me, that is ego. Otherwise, soul is made in the image of God, right? It's a spark of the divine. So he says, the breath is what is keeping the soul connected to the body. And we all know, and the rishis, he's saying the ancient rishis of India, they knew that, breath, the soul clue, that they knew the essence of this breath and developed a precise rational science of breathlessness. How do you reach the state of breathlessness? Not by holding the breath. We will fall unconscious. Where, last time also we spoke, and Master has given us the techniques of Hong Sa, where he said it is the most effective, it's a mantra, it's a bij mantra, most effective scientific technique to reach the state of breathlessness, where, the moment breath has this ability, the moment we start watching it, it starts settling down. It starts becoming shallower and shallower. And using that to control, the thoughts in the mind, to calm the mind and to calm the heart. The rishis gave us very ancient techniques, right? They knew, they were they were like spiritual scientists. So they understood, they got the clue of the breath and developed a precise. Had India had no other gift to give, the most kingly offering is Kriya Yoga. And we all know Kriya Yoga is a pranayam technique. We are having a Kriya initiation this Sunday. Some of you are going to receive it for the first time. It's such a blessing that we have this, the most precious gift that our Master has given us. So using the breath as the instrument to bring the yogi to a state where there is no need to breathe. And that's where he says breathlessness is the yogi is in charge. I mean, when does a normal man, unenlightened man become breathless? When he dies, right? He dies. But a yogi who does Kriya Yoga and reaches the state of breathlessness takes control of the death. There's no fear of death. So that is why, and here he says that, even Genesis, where he talks about even the Western, these Jesus Christ and all these, Saint Paul in autobiography only, Master has written that Saint Paul said that every day I die. So which means that these saints also knew this Kriya Yoga or some technique that is similar to Kriya Yoga that allowed them to reach that state of breathlessness, right? So without, going into the subconscious state, unconscious state and dying, every day the yogi takes charge and becomes breathless. So he's won over the death, right? Okay. Okay, that's what he says. The body of a man. So our body, and what keeps this body going is prana, right? That also comes in through the breath for an unenlightened person. He's saying it. The inert flesh, any more than dust or stone, can never carry on activity nor manifest energy and motion, were it not for the life currents. What are life currents? Prana, transmitted by soul to body through the instrumentality in unenlightenment of the breath. This is the instrumentality through which the prana keeps entering the body, right? And he says the life currents manifesting in the human body as a five pancha prana is what they say. No? The prana, apana, vyana, udana, that is what keeps this body functioning. That's there in the body, and they do all the functions of the body, right? And that's what keeps the body going. They are, and what are they? They are an expression of the Om vibration of the omnipresent soul. So, do you want to read Kavita?
But my book is slightly different, so I'll read what I have. If I leave something out, please fill in. The reflection, the verisimilitude of life that shines in the fleshy cells from the soul source is the only cause of man's attachment to his body. Obviously, he would not pay solicitous homage to a clod of clay. A human being falsely identifies himself with his physical form because the life currents from the soul are breath conveyed into the flesh with such intense power that man mistakes the effect for a cause and idolatrously imagines the body to have life of its own. Man's conscious state is an awareness of body and breath. His subconscious state, active in sleep, is associated with his mental and temporary separation from body and breath. His superconscious state is a freedom from the delusion that existence depends on body and breath. God lives without breath. The soul made in his image becomes conscious of itself for the first time only during the breathless state. Shall I stop or continue? When the breath link between soul and body is severed by evolutionary karma, the abrupt transition called death ensues. The physical cells revert to their natural powerlessness. For the Kriya Yogi, however, the breath link is severed at will by scientific wisdom, not by the rude intrusion of karmic necessity. Through actual experience, the yogi is already aware of his essential incorporeity and does not require the somewhat pointed hint given by death that man is badly advised to place his reliance on a physical body.
Okay. So that is what we were talking about. Why a person starts believing, because that is the role of the Maya, right? To make us attach the soul that is identified with the body. And he says, why? Because the life currents from the soul are breath conveyed into the flesh with such intense power that we start thinking that this is the cause, and we start idolizing this body. Whereas what is the cause? Cause is the soul. God is a cause. And we become, it's like, we are living in a delusion, right? That's what it creates, that kind of delusion for us. And here he says man's conscious state is the awareness. So he's talking about the three states of consciousness, right? This conscious state is the when we are awake, and that's eyes are level, and we function in this world, right? And we are aware at that time of this body, and we are breath again. We are more we take it for granted actually, till we come to a state where we are actually sitting down and watching the breath. Most of the time we are not even aware, we don't even care the breath is there. But when we start watching, and then we start analyzing, oh, this is fast, this is my the breath is tepid, it's fast, it is warm. Okay, his subconscious state, he says, isn't sleep, it's a dream state. It's like when the eyes are down, right? And it is associated with the mental and temporary separation from body and breath. When in sleep, We are not aware of this body. At that time, especially the dream state, we are somewhere, some far off land. There are people, even people who are dead or we haven't met for years. There are a lot of things that happen. And at that time, that is the reality. We are not conscious of this body at that time, right? And then, something terrible happens. We open our eyes and then we realize, thank God I wasn't there. Till then, it is like, it's a completely, we are able to create in our consciousness, we create a completely different world in our mind. We have the power to do that, right? And some of the dreams are so powerful, I mean, so vivid. And sometimes we do remember those. So that is a subconscious state. The eyes are down. What is a superconscious state? It says that it is a freedom from delusion that existence depends on body and breath. And that is a state when the eyes are up. And that is the reason when we sit down to meditate, we are always told, keep your gaze uplifted, because this is the seat of superconsciousness. The spiritual eye is the seat of superconsciousness. Through this, we can pierce into the superconscious state. And this is a state of where the intuitions arrive and all that. So, and in that, and when yogi is sitting there with, his gaze uplifted at the point between the eyebrows and deeply concentrated, he reaches a state where there is no need to breathe. And that is where he says that he gets a freedom from the delusion that existence depends on body and breath. I mean, we know of yogis, we have heard, we have read long time back, the ancient rishis, for years together, they would be in that state. It's like, our entire body is in a suspended animation where they are, one with the infinite. God lives without breath. He doesn't need, the vibrationless spirit doesn't need to breathe, right? The soul is made in his image, becomes conscious of itself as soul for the first time only during the breathless state. That is when a yogi comes to the realization that he is not this. He is, I am that. In Hong So, where we say that Hong So, it means I am that. That is where he actually realizes. Right now, we are only affirming, right? When we sit and do Hong So, it's like, we are trying, we are affirming that I am that, but we haven't realized it. We have been told that we are that. But a yogi who reaches that state of breathlessness realizes I am that. Okay, when the breath link between soul and body is severed by evolutionary karma, the abrupt transition called death ensues. The physical cells revert to their natural powerlessness, right? The body becomes inert during death. So that is how we had just discussed it, right? But that is how when the breath link is, the body, unenlightened person becomes breathless. But for the Kriya Yogi, the breath link is severed at will by the scientific wisdom, knowledge, not by the rude intrusion of karmic necessity. Okay. His actual experience, he is already aware of his essential incorporeity, and does not require a somewhat pointed hint that death, every lifetime we come, and at the time of death, the death says, you again thought this was, you put all your reliance on this. Away, get up. So it is actually, every death is actually a reminder, again you lost it. I think it's important that in this lifetime, we make sure we have been given an opportunity, we have been given this precious gift of Kriya Yoga, that we don't waste another lifetime. And when the death comes and says, my dear fellow, again you did it. Again you lost it. Okay, Sonal? Are you there? Yeah.
I'm there. So I'll start.
Life by life.
Yeah. Life by life, each man progresses at his own pace, be it ever so erratic, toward the goal of his own apotheosis. Death, no interruption in this onward sweep, simply offers man the more congenial environment of an astral world in which to purify his dross. Let not your heart be troubled. In my Father's house are many mansions. It is indeed unlikely that God has exhausted his ingenuity in organizing this world or that in the next world. He will offer nothing more challenging to our interest than the strumming of harps. Death is not a blotting out of existence, a final escape from life, nor is death the door to immortality. He who has fled his self in earthly joys will not recapture it amidst the gossamer charms of an astral world, where he merely accumulates finer perceptions and more sensitive responses to the beautiful and the good, which are one. It is on the anvil of this gross earth that struggling man must hammer out the imperishable gold of spiritual identity, bearing in his hand the hard won golden treasure, the sole acceptable gift to greedy death. A human being wins final freedom from the rounds of physical reincarnation. For several years, I conducted classes in Encinitas and Los Angeles on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and other profound works of Hindu philosophy. Why did God ever join soul and body? A class student asked one evening. What was his purpose in setting into initial motion this evolutionary drama of creation? Countless other men have posed such questions. Philosophers have sought in vain fully to answer them. Leave a few mysteries to explore in eternity, Sri Yukteswar used to say with a smile. How could man's limited reasoning powers comprehend the inconceivable motives of the uncreated absolute? The rational faculty in man, tethered by the cause effect principle of the phenomenal world, is baffled before the enigma of God, the beginningless, the uncaused. Nevertheless, though man's reason cannot fathom the riddles of creation, every mystery will ultimately be solved for the devotee of thy God himself.
So, Master says that, each soul that has been put on in this creation has the final destination is fixed. It's self-realization. It has to merge back in God. Now, the natural progression can take 1,000,000 years. Again, he's written in the chapter of Kriya Yoga that it takes 1,000,000 years of rightful living, which means no bad habits, no diseases, no bad thoughts. So rightful living, if we every lifetime, if we have lived that way, then in a natural progression, 1,000,000 years it will take for this one soul to progress and become, it merge back in God. And I mean, seriously, we don't know how we have lived, whether we had all lifetimes, which is doubtful, that we only thought good thoughts and there were no diseases, we didn't have any bad habits. So it can be more than 1,000,000, 2,000,000, whatever. So he says each man progresses in his own pace to be ever so erratic toward the goal of his own apotheosis. I Googled it. It says highest point in development of something. So to reach our highest point, what is the highest point? Self-realization, right? So it's erratic because, again, as I said, we cannot be, we don't know how we have lived in these past incarnations. So it can be very erratic, but there is a natural progression that happens, which can take 1,000,000 or 2,000,000, whatever. Death, no interruption on this onward sweep. So death is not like, oh, it's interrupted. So even that's why Master said, even, Sri Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, even as any step, no step on the spiritual path is ever wasted. So if I have done something and if I leave the body before self-realization, I start from where I have left off. So I'm given an opportunity. So it is just, death it's not interrupting anything. We just go. I mean, we just drop the body and go. That astral body is carrying everything. Astral and the causal body are going from body to body. And so nothing is getting interrupted. It's carrying all the tendencies, all the karmas, everything is registered there. So nothing is getting interrupted. So no interruption in this onward sweep simply offers man the more congenial environment of an astral world in which to purify his dross. So you go there, you rest for some time, right? We die, we rest there. It gives us, from all these hardships, all the suffering, we are given a place which, allows us to rest for a while. And again, he says, And he's like, he says that God, it is unlikely that God has exhausted his ingenuity in organizing this world or that in the next world. He will offer nothing more challenging to our interest than the strumming of harp. So, I mean, to think that, I was listening to Swamiji in one talk. He says, I mean, some people say that, astral world, the angels are just sitting and, playing the harp, or somebody is sitting and eating grapes. I mean, is that all that it will be? I mean, if, and, after all this rush, it cannot be that the astral world will just, make you feel so dull, right? But he also says death is not a blotting out of existence. As I said, you just drop the physical body. Everything, the person is intact. A final escape from life, nor is death the door to immortality. So people say that, even if they have lived a very evil life, very bad, then at the time of their death, oh, moksha mil jayega, nahi milega. Where do you get? How do you get? Just because you die doesn't make an evil person a saint or an angel. It takes a lot of effort. One has to do a lot of effort. So death is not, as he's saying, it's not a door to immortality. He who has fled his self as in the, who has forgotten who he is and is like, in earthly joys, will not recapture it amidst the gossamer charms of an astral world. Just because he has died and gone in the astral world, he's not going to get back to that original state and say, oh, I'm a soul. It takes a lot of effort. So as in the previous chapter on Hiranyaloka, when we read that ordinary souls keep going back to an lower astral world, they sleep for a while, and then their karma, their desires, their regrets bring them back. Ultimately, he says, there he merely accumulates finer perceptions and more sensitive responses to the beautiful and good which are one. And that is why. So we understand, I mean, all that seems important in this lifetime. When the person leaves the body at that time, he understands, oh, that wasn't so important, that was, which in the time of when we are living in this body might have seemed very insignificant, would have been actually the most important thing. At that time, the person who leaving the body is able to perceive, they come back to that finer perception. But still he's saying, it is on the anvil of this gross earth that struggling man must hammer out the imperishable gold of spiritual identity. Earth is the place that gives us the environment or necessary tools to hammer out and understand who we really are for self-realization. Astral world allows us to just relax for a bit from all these struggles, but it is not, that's not the sphere where we will develop more. So you can go and rest there for a few years or hundreds of years, but then you continue in that state because everything is so nice and there is nothing to struggle for. You don't see, I mean, you are amongst the people of your vibration, or the other souls, the whole place is resonating with our vibration. So there is nothing to challenge us. Earth is the place where we see so much suffering and you say, no, I don't want this anymore. And we start working, to get out of this. I don't want this. I don't want to keep coming back. So I start working for liberation. So earth is this gross earth, he's saying, is where we have the tools, the necessary challenges, that environment that will help us to, get liberated. Bearing in his hand the hard-won golden treasure, which is liberation, as a sole acceptable gift to greedy death. A human being wins final freedom from the rounds of physical reincarnation. In liberation is when he actually is, he gets that. He's saying it's a sole acceptable gift. Okay, and then he says that, and whereas in class, people say then, why did God do this? Master says, even I asked, why did you do this? Why did you create us, and give so much of suffering? And his master said, God doesn't want us to suffer. He regrets having to do that. But, and he also says that God is Satchidanand, right? Ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss. And it is the quality, it's a quality of bliss to express itself. So God expressed himself and he wanted to be entertained. That was the whole idea. We are all images of God. So whole idea was to be entertained and to educate. Master said, how few are entertained or even educated? We are all suffering, and we so caught up in what is happening that we are suffering more. And when they asked this question, Sri Yukteswar said, leave a few mysteries to explore in eternity. Abhi sab kuch bata denge, and we cannot approach this using our intellect. We will never understand it through our intellect. How could man's limited reasoning powers comprehend the inconceivable motives? Why did he create? Go and find out. Get liberated, you will know, is what Master says. Sri Yukteswar says, of the uncreated absolute. The rational faculty in man, tethered by the cause and effect principles of the phenomenal world, is baffled before the enigma of God. We don't understand. I mean, that is why we need God as forms, right? We see God as Krishna or Divine Mother, Shiva, because it is difficult. Why we need all this? Because we can't comprehend a formless God. Because God is all of this, yet is beyond us, is formless. And it's difficult for us to even comprehend it. That is why, what is beginningless? What does that beginningless? What does it mean? We don't understand. So we need something to hold on to that for our rational mind makes sense. So nevertheless, though man's reason cannot fathom the riddles of creation, every mystery will ultimately be solved by the devotee of God himself. And Swami Kriyananda in the book Essence of the Bhagavad Gita writes that no one who found God ever said, oh, what a scam. They said that all the suffering that they had to go through to finally reach that state, it was all well worth it. So it's worth remembering this, especially when we are going through various tests and I'm like, why is God doing this? Where is God? Where is my Guru? This is worth remembering. That I will know what is this all about. Why am I going through all this? I will know. Okay, who will read Chandrika? Chandrika, will you read or should I continue? Okay, let me continue. If anybody else, you just please let me know. So he who sincerely yearns for wisdom is content to start his search by humbly mastering a few simple ABCs of the divine schema, not demanding prematurely a precise mathematical graph of life's Einstein theory. No man hath seen God at any time, no mortal, in bracket is written, under time, the relativities of Maya can realize the infinite. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of Father, the reflected Christ consciousness or outwardly projected perfect intelligence, that guiding all structural phenomena through Om vibration, has issued forth from the bosom or deeps of the uncreated divine in order to express the variety of unity he hath declared, subjected to form or manifested him. Verily, verily, I say unto you, Jesus explained, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. Okay, so this next para also let me read. The threefold nature of God as he demonstrates himself in the phenomenal worlds is symbolized in Hindu scriptures as Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer, renovator. Their triune activities are ceaselessly displayed throughout vibratory creation. As the absolute is beyond the conceptual powers of man, the devout Hindu worships it in the august embodiments of the Trinity. The universal creative, preservative, destructive aspect of God, however, is not his ultimate or even his essential nature, for cosmic creation is only his Leela, creative sport. So here we get back. So he's saying, if we really want to know who we are, who we really are, what is this all about, what is this whole creation all about, or we want to be liberated, he's saying take that simple first step. A child has to go through kindergarten. He can't just go and say, I want to get into IIT. We have to go through class 1, class 2, class 3, plus then multiplication, division. This is how we have to learn. And that is what spiritual path also we have to do. We can't start demanding, I need to know why this creation happened, what are the intricacies. I will never even if told in the book Holy Science, Sri Yukteswar says that when he talks about yoga, he says that in Treta Yoga, which will be the mental age, where he says that man will be able, there will be no confusion, there will be no misunderstanding, because people will read each other's thoughts. Everything will be committed with thoughts. You can manifest things. And he says that I will not explain that too much, because the person reading this will not be able to comprehend what I'm writing. And those who already know, who are in that state, don't need this book. So even if somebody were to sit and explain everything to us, we will not understand, because we are still very body bound, very intellectual. We need to get beyond that. So he says, learn. You have to start his search by humbly mastering a few simple ABCs of the divine schema. So when we come here on this path, we are taught energization exercise, we are taught Hong So. Do it with all faith, humbly, understanding that this master has given me this at the start, is because that is all that is needed at that moment for me to progress to a level where I can receive Kriya, right? And he says, no man hath seen God at any time. Which man is he talking about? Those, the mortals who are bound by Maya. So relativities of Maya. For us, time is linear. So I am this age, and I will be that age, or coming from, everything is relative, everything is time bound, and we don't understand. I mean, Sri Yukteswar is in Calcutta, and suddenly he manifests in Serampur to Mukunda. There is no time or space for them. We call it miracle, but for them it's not miracle. They understand, they can go beyond Maya, so they are able to operate the natural laws, right? So for them, they are the begotten son. The avatars, they are the begotten son. So which is in the bosom of Father, the reflected Christ consciousness. This is a reflection. This reflection, all of us have it, right? The spiritual eye is this is where we reach the state of Christ consciousness. And what is here is the Son of God, is what we say. Somebody who is enlightened, who has seen God, is the Son of God. And or outward projection. So this is a reflection, projection of the perfect intelligence that guiding all structural phenomena through Om vibration. How did this whole creation happen? So Om vibration, right? The vibrationless spirit created when there was this vibration, and that vibration, there's a sound, and that vibration itself created this whole this thing. So everything that is here is created in Om. We are all living in Om. Okay, so, but then we are not aware, right? We are so body bound that we are not aware that we are sons of God. Has issued forth from the bosom the deeps. Okay, he had declared, verily, verily, I say unto the son can do nothing of himself. When he's saying that son can do of himself, if I am conscious, the man cannot do anything unless he becomes the son of God. In that, he is one with the divinity. What my father can, he says, what for that, those things soever he doeth, these also doeth the son likewise. Son of God can do what his father does. The self-realized master can do, is one with with God, the divinity himself, the infinite. So whatever the father can do, the master can also do. And he says that the threefold nature of God, as he demonstrates himself. So God, how he created, is the creator is the Brahma. The Vishnu is, we all know, the Indian scriptures tell us, is the one who sustains this creation. And when the time of, pralaya comes, annihilation, when he says, okay, come, let it all come back, he activates the Shiva aspect of It's all God. It's all one. But these are the ones that are part of this creation, right? The triune, the Trinity, the universal, creative, preservative, destructive aspects of God. However, that is not his ultimate. God is much beyond this. So he is Brahma Vishnu because he created it, and he is all of this, and he's beyond this, right? The pure vibrational state is beyond all these aspects that he is displaying. His essential nature is that is beyond all these Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh also, because for cosmic creation is only is Leela. It's a sport for God, and we take it so seriously. That is why Master says that, it's for entertainment and education, we forget that. We take ourselves so seriously. We take somebody, they say something to us or does something to us, we take it so seriously because we take ourselves so seriously. His intrinsicality cannot be grasped even by grasping all the mysteries of Trinity. Even we understand Brahma's, why Brahma was created, how does Brahma work, how does Shiva work, how does Vishnu, even then we will not get who is the spirit, what is the spirit, because his outer nature as manifested in the lawful atomic flux merely expresses himself without revealing. It's just expressing that Satchidanand. It's just an expression, a part of who the God, the Satchidanand is actually. Final nature of the God is known only when the Son ascends to the Father. Self-realization through liberation, final release. The liberated man overpasses the vibratory realms and enters the vibrationless original. Anybody else wants to read further? Kavita, Sonal?
Can continue if you want.
Continue.
All great prophets have remained silent when requested to unveil the ultimate secrets. When Pilate asked, "What is truth?" Christ made no reply. The large, ostentatious questions of intellectualists like Pilate seldom proceed from a burning spirit of inquiry. Such men speak rather with the empty arrogance that considers a lack of conviction about spiritual values to be a sign of open-mindedness. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, and that I should be a witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. In these few words, Christ spoke volumes. A child of God bears witness by his life. He embodies truth. If we expound it also, that is generous redundancy. Truth is no theory, no speculative system of philosophy, no intellectual insight. Truth is exact correspondence with reality. For man, truth is unshakable knowledge of his real nature, his self as soul. Jesus, by every act and word of his life, proved that he knew the truth of his being, his source in God. Wholly identified with the omnipresent Christ consciousness, he could say with simple finality, everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Buddha too refused to shed light on the metaphysical ultimates, dryly pointing out that man's few moments on earth are best employed in perfecting the moral nature. The Chinese mystic Lao Tzu rightly taught, "He who knows tells it not, he who tells knows it not." The final mysteries of God are not open to discussion. The decipherment of a secret code is an art that man cannot communicate to man. Here the Lord alone is the teacher. Be still and know that I am God. Never flaunting his omnipresence, the Lord is heard only in the immaculate silences, reverberating throughout the universe as the creative Om vibration. The primal sound instantly translates itself into intelligible words for the devotee in tune.
So that is what he's saying, that, the one who knows God, even here, Master has revealed so much. Yet a lot of things he says that, this I can't write. I haven't been given. What he has written is The permission, when he has got the permission from the divine, is what he has given. A lot of things where he says that Jesus spoke to me, but I can't reveal those, or what. There are some other secrets that Sri Yukteswar gave me. I can't share that. Everything he only has given what is, a divine permission for him. So they don't reveal. Everything is not told. We have to find out for ourselves. And this beautiful, no? Where he says that I should bear witness unto the truth. These avatars who come, through their lives, through who they are are witness to what God is. They embody what God is, right? He says a child of God bears witness by his life. His life itself is like, a witness to the presence of God. He embodies truth. If he expounds it also, that is generous redundancy. Many saints, they don't even take, most of them are Mauni Babas. They don't even say, yet they have these disciples, and they just by their presence, they're communicating so much. All we need to do is tune into their vibration. They don't need to give us this words. It's just being in their presence, in their vibration is enough, because they embody God. Again, he's saying truth is no theory. It's no speculative. So, we can't, between some of us talk and philosophize. Nothing is going to come. It's my understanding versus somebody, because none of us who has not seen God, who doesn't know God, can really talk about God. We can only touch about an aspect of God. So for man, truth is unshakable knowledge of his real nature. Our real nature is, it is, when we come to that, we know it. That is why they say it's a smruti, it's a memory. We have all forgotten in millions of lifetimes. We have collected all this mud of tendencies and karmas. So we have all forgotten who we really are, and just going around in this world of delusion. So he says that Jesus, wholly identified with the omnipresent Christ consciousness, he could say with simple manner, everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Buddha also never, he says that, live in this perfect, pure moral nature. All great saints have said that, right? This is very important. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness. Master said that silence is the altar of God. So that is why he always used to say, be silent, go back, go to your center, live in your center. Come down every now and then to have your food, or, to function in this world, and then retreat back in. The more we live, and that is why, taking seclusions or being silent, or at least, every day, setting aside some minutes to start with, some hours where we are completely silent, which means, switching off the phone, even, the mind, because this is the one that is chattering a lot, not checking the mails, and try to be as much living in our center as possible. It's something to start with. This I think is a very good quote that we can write in front, and wherever we're working, in that keep this, be still and know that I'm God. These are very important points for each one of us who are on the spiritual path and who want to know who we really are. We cannot find when we are constantly, interacting with the world through our senses. We have to retreat back in. And he says, reverberating throughout the universe as a creative Om vibration. Those of us who have Om technique, I think, let us make it a point, because once we get Kriya, we tend to lose the Om technique. We don't give it so much importance. It's good to get back to that. Practice Om technique. The primal sound instantly translates into intelligible words for the devotee in attunement. We understand, as Master said, that, there are so many books. How many books are you going to read? And even then, are you going to really understand? Masters just pull it. It's all in the ether. They just pull it down. Any knowledge that they want, they pull it down from the ether. It's all there. So how many books you want to read? That is not going to give you wisdom, is what he said. So that is what it is saying, that the primal sound instantly translates, it's such a beautiful thing, itself into intelligible words for the devotee in attunement. Attunement, this is the most important, as I said previously also, towards the end of his life. And attunement to what? If we want to be in tune with what God is, for us, it's important to be in attunement to Guru. Guru leads us to God, right? Guru gives us meditation. It's, as he says in the poem Samadhi, Guru given meditation. Guru will give us a self-realization. So attunement to the Guru is most important. And we understand everything. We will understand everything. We know it all, right? So it reveals. All this will reveal itself. When we do the techniques our Guru has given, when we try to be in tune with our Guru, it will be revealed to us. The wisdom will be revealed. Okay. Kavita, you want to read?
Okay.
The divine.
The divine purpose of creation, so far as man's reason can grasp it, is expounded in the Vedas. The rishis taught that each human being has been created by God as a soul that will uniquely manifest some special attribute of the infinite before resuming its absolute identity. All men endowed thus with a facet of divine individuality are equally dear to God. The wisdom garnered by India, the eldest brother among the nations, is a heritage of all mankind. Vedic truth, as all truth, belongs to the Lord and not to India. The rishis, whose minds were pure receptacles to receive the divine profundities of the Vedas, were members of the human race, born on this earth rather than on some other to serve humanity as a whole. Distinctions by race or nation are meaningless in the realm of truth, where the only qualification is spiritual fitness to receive. God is love. His plan for creation can be rooted only in love. Does not that simple thought, rather than erudite reasonings, offer solace to the human heart? Every saint who has penetrated to the core of reality has testified that a divine universal plan exists and that it is beautiful and full of joy. To the prophet Isaiah, God revealed his intentions in these words. So shall my word, creative Om, be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The men of a hard-pressed 20th century hear longingly that wondrous promise. The full truth within it is realizable by every devotee of God who strives manfully to repossess his divine heritage. The blessed role of Kriya Yoga in East and West has hardly more than just begun. May all men come to know that there exists a definite scientific technique of self-realization for the overcoming of all human misery. In sending loving thought vibrations to the thousands of Kriya Yogis scattered like shining jewels over the earth, I often think gratefully, Lord, thou hast given this monk a large family.
A blessing. What a blessing it has been for us to take this journey. So just a little bit of things, as I said, he's saying that, you know, the divine purpose of creation is mentioned in is expounded in the Vedas. And the rishis taught that each human being has been created by God as a soul that is uniquely manifest some special attribute of the infinite before resuming its absolute identity. So, very important for each one of us to understand. Each one of us is manifesting, we are all different. We are completely different from each other. Each one of us is manifesting a special attribute of the divine. So, many of us, we need to understand that we try to be like somebody else. Why? We can never be like somebody else. I am manifesting a very special attribute of the divine. I need not be like anybody else. I am my own unique self in God, right? And before they resume its absolute identity. And when Master says that even after a soul merges back to God, they still remember all their past, that he was John, he was Jacob, he was he was that, everything. They know that, it was, they had expressed as different in different incarnations. They still have that, it's merged back, yet they remember that, who they were. All men endowed thus with a facet of divine individuality are equally dear to God. Each one of us is dear to God. I mean, Master said, if only it's not like, he loves one more or the other, or a saint, he loves saint more. Even somebody who is, completely deluded and living completely wrong life, even him, God loves equally. So that is also the reason that we should not judge anyone. God doesn't judge any one of us, loves everyone equally. And here he says that Vedic truth belongs to the Lord. The great rishis receive, whose minds were pure, receptible. So they were, there were no thoughts to, muddle up that mind. The minds were so pure, they were so open, so calm. So that is, we will receive intuition if the mind is calm. With restless mind, we will never receive it. God is always helping us. Master is always sending us information. Why am I not receiving? Why am I not getting answers? Why am I? Because the mind is constantly in a flux, right? So the great rishis, whose minds were pure receptacles to receive the divine profundities of the Vedas, were members of the human race born on this earth rather than some other to serve humanity. So they received, the Vedas were received. And we know that there are thousands of Vedas, right? Most of it, they say, are lost because we went through the dark ages. At that time, whatever was left is left. But they are lost because for that age, they couldn't have grasped more. When the human race becomes, it becomes necessary for them to understand, or they become, uplifted enough to, it will come back. Now, Vedas are never lost because it is universal and they receive it. Kriya is received. Yoga, Patanjali received it. Similarly, Vedas were received. They can never get lost completely. When the age on any planet is in the right age to receive those profound teachings, wisdom, because it belongs to Lord. The ones who are in a position to receive will receive it and use it for what? Not for their own purpose. It is to serve humanity. That is all their purpose, to serve humanity. It's not to, I want to learn Vedas. No, nothing for their own, because there's no ego there. And so that is why he says distinctions by, saying that, I am this caste or I'm this race, the whites or the black. He says the distinctions of race, nation are meaningless in the realm of truth, where the only qualification is this person spiritually fit to receive. That's all that matters. And God is love. I mean, this is all it is. God is love. His plan for creation can be rooted only in love. Does not that simple thought, more than any erudite cosmological tome, offer solace to the human? Really, it does. I think these are quotes that we can write, and put it all around us. That be still and know that I am God. God is love. That's all. and that he loves each one of us same, nothing, no difference. And then he says here, ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. Each one of us need to understand that we have that joy within each one of us. We are so lost that, we look for happiness outside. We are joy. So ye should go out with joy and be led forth with peace. Okay, so he's saying this truth within it is only realizable by every devotee of God who strives manfully to repossess his divine heritage. We are all sons of God. We have forgotten, we are prodigal child, right? We have to come back, repossess our divine heritage. The blessed role of Kriya in East and West, hardly more, because we have just entered it was lost during the dark ages. Now with Babaji, giving it to Lahiri Mahashaya in the ascending Dwapar Yuga that we have entered, he says it's just hardly begun. May all men come to know that there exists a definite scientific technique of self-realization for overcoming, he says, all human misery. Everything. He's not saying some of this or this or, this problem or that problem. He's saying every human misery can be overcome through the scientific technique of Kriya Yoga. And with that, he's saying, sending loving vibrations to thousands of Kriya Yogis scattered like shining jewels over the earth. I often think gratefully, Lord, thou hast given this monk a great, large family. And it's such a blessing for each one of us today that Master allowed us to go over this book, to have some little bit of insight of what he has written, what he has given, and to partake of this vibration that he has put in his book. It's been a blessing, this blessed journey for each one of us. I'm so glad that we finally managed to finish this book. And maybe some years later, we come back to it, we'll probably understand it a little bit more. And in the meantime, as I said, we will have a couple of weeks break, and then we will go to New Path. And before many of you joined, that's what I was saying, that autobiography of a yogi, Master doesn't really talk about himself, right? He's more talking about this saint, his guru, Lahiri Mahashaya, Babaji, but not so much about who he is for us. We want to know our guru, right? Because sometimes we are still very caught up in that thing. So when we read New Path, which Swamiji has written, especially the part after he meets his master, he reveals Master to us, what we have, what precious gift we have been given in this lifetime that we have. As Adi Shankaracharya says, that in all the three worlds, the most precious gift is, having a guru, which we have. So it's to be a good journey. It's a good, going to sequel to this book, to go to New Path. There's so many books to go to actually, but let's next start with the New Path. So with that, thank you all.
Thank you, Jayanti. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, Jayanti.
Thank you. Yeah.
Really been a beautiful journey from the beginning to the end. And really, the end really gives one gooseflesh. And you feel so tearful because of something shifts. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is awesome session.